There is a rhythm within you, a secret cadence that the world cannot see, yet it commands the unfolding of every event in your life. For but 60 seconds, if you breathe in a certain way and dwell within that sacred pulse, the universe bends to your desire. Tonight, I will reveal how this simple act of breath can awaken the unseen and deliver all that you long for. Be still and know that I am God. These words are not mere comfort, they are an invitation, a summons into the hidden sanctuary that lies within every human heart. How often do you rush, consumed by the appearances of the world, chasing what is fleeting, seeking outside that which has always dwelt within? The psalmist does not speak of waiting for miracles beyond your reach, but of turning your gaze inward, of quieting the restless mind until the eternal can speak through the rhythm of your being. There is a place within you untouched by time, unshaken by circumstance, where the consciousness of God pulses steadily, waiting for your recognition. When you pause, when you allow the senses to fall silent and the mind to rest, you enter a dimension where all creation has already taken shape. In this stillness, there is no lack. In this stillness, all that you have imagined, all that you have desired, all that you have secretly hoped for exists as a living reality. It is not a possibility, it is a certainty, awaiting only the attention of your awareness to awaken it into manifestation. Consider the words carefully, for they are precise in their declaration. Be still and know. Be still, not with the lips alone, not in some superficial quiet, but be still in your heart, in your senses, in the depths of your very consciousness. Let the breath settle into a rhythm that carries awareness inward. The outward world may clamor, the body may demand, the senses may cry, yet there is a sanctuary beyond these demands. In this sanctuary, the voice of I Am is heard, clear and unbroken. To know, truly to know, is not to speculate or hope. To know is to dwell in the state of fulfillment, to occupy the consciousness of already having. The world you see is but a reflection of this inner knowing. The law is simple yet absolute. What you assume, what you feel with certainty, must appear as reality. You have within you the power to command existence itself. It is not granted by chance, nor earned through labor or merit, but is the very nature of consciousness. The scriptures, the eternal writings of truth, have always pointed to this hidden law, veiled in parable, in symbols, in words that appear mundane until their deeper meaning is awakened within you. When it is said, "Be still and know that I am God," it is a declaration that God, the creative power of the universe, is not elsewhere. God is the self that perceives, the breath that animates, the consciousness that imagines. Your imagination is the gateway through which the unseen shapes the seen, the invisible forms the visible, and the eternal brings forth the temporal. Each inward breath, each conscious pause, is a summons to the creative power that has been waiting for your attention. Do you perceive, in the silent chambers of your own awareness, the subtle truth? Every desire, every longing, every vision that you hold in the imagination has already been fulfilled in the unseen. There is no need to petition or plead. There is no distant throne to convince. The unseen exists beyond your doubt and beyond time. It responds only to the certainty of your inner state. When you breathe consciously, when you still the outward mind, you enter into the consciousness where all desires are real, where the perfect expression of your wish has already been made. This is the profound simplicity of the mystical law. The world is created from within, and your attention is the spark that brings the unseen into the tangible. Understand this deeply, for it is the foundation upon which all manifestation rests. The law does not labor, it does not delay, it does not err. It moves with perfect precision, guided only by the state of your consciousness. To know is to create, and to be still is to align with that creative power. Each breath you take is a measure of this alignment. As you inhale, draw into yourself the awareness of the wish fulfilled. Let it fill your chest, your mind, your very essence. As you exhale, release the outer world, the appearances, the disbelief. allowing the inner reality to assert itself without obstruction. It is a sacred rhythm, a communion between the finite expression of self and the infinite creative presence within. And here lies the law: what you feel inwardly governs the world outwardly. The scriptures, veiled in their poetic cadence, have long proclaimed this truth: the silver is mine, and the gold is mine, saith the Lord of hosts. These words do not speak of metals, of currency, of objects locked in vaults. They speak of consciousness itself, of the inexhaustible treasure that resides in the I am within you. To claim this treasure, you need not struggle, you need not toil, you need not seek externally. It exists in the inner knowing, and when you occupy that knowing with your full attention, the outer world must correspond. The universe is obedient to the law of assumption, to the state you inhabit. What you assume as true, what you live as if real in the secrecy of your heart, will be reflected perfectly in your external life. Now, let your attention move into the subtleties of this principle. You are often misled by appearances, convinced by the evidence of your senses that your desires are distant or impossible. Yet appearances have no power over the unseen. They are but echoes of past assumptions, temporary forms that dissolve as you take your stand within. The unseen is eternal, unchanging, perfect. To dwell in it, to breathe it in with conscious intent, is to move from lack into abundance, from limitation into freedom, from doubt into certainty. The law is merciless in its impartiality. It responds not to your reasoning, but to the state you assume. This is why the stillness of consciousness is the gateway to all fulfillment. When you are still, when you are aligned with the I am within, the outer world becomes a faithful reflection of that inner reality. Imagine now for a moment the power of a single conscious breath. It is not mere oxygen flowing into the lungs, but a signal to the universe that you have taken your place in the state of the fulfilled desire. Each inhalation draws into you the reality you seek. Each exhalation disperses the old, the unworthy, the unfinished, making room for the new to manifest. In this rhythm, you are both the conductor and the symphony, the sculptor and the clay. There is no separation between the inner and the outer, for consciousness is the origin of all form, and your imaginative act is the blueprint from which reality is constructed. The law is consistent, unfailing, and infinitely generous. Consider for a moment the man who seeks wealth. He sees no gold, he touches no coin, yet within the privacy of his chamber, he dwells nightly in the reality of possession. He feels the weight of gold in his hands, the rustle of bills, the sense of security and freedom that comes from ownership. He does not argue with the evidence of lack. He does not despair at appearances. He simply lives in the state of fulfillment, breathing, imagining, feeling, and the law responds. One day, the gold appears, the opportunity unfolds, the circumstances shift because the inner state has commanded the outer world. This is not myth, this is law. It is the natural order of consciousness, unfolding with perfect precision when you recognize the authority of your own awareness. The inner law requires faith, but it is not blind faith. It is the conviction born from understanding, from recognition of your own power. When you breathe consciously, when you still the mind and sense the reality of your wish fulfilled, you are not hoping for an external miracle. You are enacting the miracle that has always existed. The unseen is obedient. The universe moves to meet the state you occupy, and all circumstances become instruments of your inner reality. There is no waiting, no delay beyond the alignment of attention. All that you imagine, all that you accept as real within, becomes inevitable in the external world. This is the essence of manifestation: the stillness, the breath, the assumption, the feeling, all united as one harmonious act. The scriptures, the mystical writings, the eternal truths all point to this same principle. To know, to be still, to assume, to inhabit the desired state. This is the rhythm of creation, and it is available to you now, in this very breath, in this very moment. As you continue to breathe, Let your consciousness sink deeper into the knowing that your desire is fulfilled. Let the rhythm of inhalation and exhalation become a sacred chant, a heartbeat of reality itself, and let your imagination pour forth the fullness of the unseen into the form that awaits it. No outer circumstance, no evidence, no delay has power over the law within. What you assume, what you feel, what you live becomes reality. It is as simple as that and as profound. Each conscious breath is an act of creation. Each moment of inner recognition is a step into the kingdom that has always been yours. All that is required is the stillness, the knowing, the assumption, the feeling, and the rhythm of consciousness moving in harmony with the unseen. The gold, the silver, the abundance, the joy, the fulfillment, all are reflections of the state you now inhabit. The law is patient, but the law is faithful. Align yourself with it, breathe it in, feel it, and the outer world must obey. You are the center of your own universe. The secret is not outside, it has never been outside. It is the I am within you, the breath that carries the unseen into the seen, the consciousness that shapes all forms. Be still and know. Breathe and inhabit the fulfilled state. Let the rhythm of life itself respond to your inner certainty, and all that you have imagined will rise to meet you with perfect, inevitable obedience. Close your eyes for a moment and let the outer world fade, for the stage upon which all creation appears is not beyond you but within you. The vision you hold in imagination is no fantasy, it is the unseen reality already existing, waiting for your conscious recognition. See it clearly. Feel the texture of your desire, the warmth of its presence, the rhythm of its life within your hands, within your senses. Imagine yourself living, breathing, moving in the world where all you have wished for is no longer a dream, but the undeniable condition of your life. Hear the words spoken to you, the confirmations that it is yours, that nothing can take it from you. Sense the space around you filled with the tangible aura of fulfillment, each detail precise, each movement natural, each sound resonant with the truth of your assumption. Let your mind linger there, for this is the sacred workshop of reality. What you dwell upon with feeling becomes, and the imagination is the tool by which the unseen is formed into the seen. Do not shrink from the vividness of this inner scene. Allow yourself to feel it fully, as though it were the present moment and not some distant hope. Smell the aroma, hear the laughter, taste the sweetness, touch the weight and texture of what is already yours. Each detail strengthens the current of belief, each sensation deepens the conviction that no outer evidence can contradict. You are not calling into being what does not exist, you are unveiling what has always existed in the hidden realms of consciousness. The universe is obedient to this inner act. The moment you feel it, the moment you accept it, the outer world, which is but a mirror, must reflect it with perfect fidelity. This is not imagination for amusement or diversion. It is the laboratory of creation, and you are both scientist and deity, shaping reality by the purity of your inner perception. And yet, the world will tempt you to doubt, for appearances are persistent and persuasive. They will whisper that lack is present, that circumstances are slow, that others have what you desire while you remain empty. Do not be moved by these deceptions, for they are shadows cast by the past, illusions that vanish in the light of your assumed state. The vision you carry within is the truth, and when you occupy it, nothing can contradict it. Hold it as a flame in the depth of your being, steady and unwavering. Let it consume all hesitation, all disbelief, all longing born of scarcity, until the inner and the outer are no longer separate but one. Your imagination, charged with feeling, is the instrument by which all facts are made. When you see, hear, and sense your desire as real, the universe conspires to reveal its fulfillment in perfect order. Consider the principle that the state precedes the fact. Every reality you behold was first an assumption, an inner act of consciousness. The circumstances of life are but effects, ripening from causes you assumed long before their manifestation. A man may walk in apparent poverty, Yet nightly he imagines wealth as already his. He feels it, he lives it, he breathes it, and the unseen responds with precision. One day he receives that which he has assumed, not because he worked for it, not because it was granted externally, but because he had occupied the state of fulfillment with unwavering conviction. This is the law, absolute and unerring. The state of consciousness is the seed from which the fact springs. The outer world is the faithful mirror, reflecting without question the inner truth. There are no exceptions, no partial manifestations, for the law does not negotiate. The man who assumes health, love, abundance, or recognition occupies a reality that is unseen but perfect, and the unseen orchestrates all events, people, and circumstances to correspond. Even when the evidence of the senses appears contrary, the inner state holds sway, for appearances are but the shadow of past assumptions, fleeting and insubstantial. Persist in the inner vision, dwell in the fulfilled state, as though no delay exists, and the outer world bends naturally to reflect that inner certainty. This is why imagination must be alive, vivid, suffused with the senses, for it is the language by which consciousness speaks to the universe. Notice how your feelings act as the current that animates the vision. If you imagine without feeling, you remain in the realm of ideas, and ideas cannot shape reality. But when feeling accompanies the vision, when every breath affirms it, when every pulse of your being resonates with the truth of already having, then creation obeys. It does not require struggle, it does not labor, it does not grope for solutions. It flows naturally, effortlessly, perfectly. The man who nightly sees his door opening to opportunity, who hears the words confirming his triumph, who feels the warmth and satisfaction of achievement, is not hoping, he is knowing. And knowing is the act of creation itself. Let the senses deepen this experience. Let the weight of your desire rest in your hands. Let the sounds, the scents, the textures of fulfillment invade your consciousness until the world outside is no longer needed to confirm reality. In this state, every detail is alive, every sensation authentic, every breath a confirmation of the truth you inhabit. Do not discount the power of this act, for it is the very essence of manifestation. All that appears must first be assumed, and all assumption is confirmed through the deliberate, vivid occupation of imagination. This is the sacred secret long concealed in parables, scriptures, and the writings of the mystics. The invisible precedes the visible, the inner state births the outer form, and your consciousness is the seed from which all experience blossoms. You may ask, then, why some desires appear slow to manifest? The answer lies not in the law, but in the persistence of the inner act. If the assumption is fleeting, if the feeling is diluted, if the imagination wavers, the outer world mirrors that instability. But if you occupy the state fully, with every sense engaged, with every breath aligned to the reality of fulfillment, the unseen is compelled to act. The universe is like clay in your hands, responding only to the touch of your inner certainty. Do not chase the effect. Do not plead for evidence. Occupy the state, feel the reality, and the outer world must obey, for it has no choice but to reflect the state within. Consider the parable of the seed. The farmer does not argue with the soil, he does not wrestle with the sun. He plants the seed and assumes it will grow. He waters it with faith, nourishes it with attention, and patiently occupies the knowledge of its inevitable maturity. In the same way, the vision in your imagination is the seed. Your conscious occupation of it, suffused with feeling, is the water and sunlight. The law responds not in haste or delay, but in perfect timing until the outer world reflects the inner state. The seed does not grow because it hopes, but because it exists, and because the conditions of attention and assumption have been faithfully applied. The state precedes the fact, and the fact is powerless without the state. You cannot wish for a thing and remain outside its reality, expecting the world to align against the truth you do not inhabit. You must well breathe, sense, and feel the fulfillment as if it is already complete. The universe waits only for this act of recognition, this deliberate occupation of consciousness, this intimate engagement with the unseen. It responds not to your effort, not to your argument, not to your reasoning, but to the absolute, unwavering assumption that the inner vision is real, complete, perfect. Feel now the rhythm of your own consciousness, the pulse of the unseen. Let your imagination become more than thought. Let it become a living reality within. Each breath, each heartbeat, each moment of attention carries the power to summon forth what is hidden into the world of form. Persist in this state, dwell in it, live it, and the outer world, faithful to its laws, must obey. What you see, what you feel, what you inhabit within, becomes the architecture of reality. The state precedes the fact, and the fact cannot exist without the state. This is the secret of all manifestation, the eternal law, the truth that transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary, the unseen into the tangible, and desire into fulfillment. Faith is not a hope for what is distant, nor a wish for what may someday appear. Faith is the living acknowledgement of the unseen, the unshakable recognition that the desire you carry within has already been fulfilled. You must understand that the evidence of the senses is but a shadow, a temporary echo of past assumptions, and it has no authority over the truth that resides within. When you feel the reality of your wishes present, when you breathe it into your being and inhabit it with all your senses, you are exercising the sacred act of faith. The outer world, bound by appearances, seems obstinate, slow, resistant, yet the law of consciousness is absolute. It answers only to the state you occupy, and your inward fidelity is the command that compels the unseen to unfold in perfection. Do not be disturbed by the seeming contradictions of life. They are illusions, passing mists that dissolve when the inner light of assumption burns steady. Let your imagination dwell in the living scene of fulfillment. See the door opening, hear the words that confirm your possession, sense the very air charged with the reality of your desire. Each breath you take is an affirmation, a silent declaration to the unseen that you occupy the state of fulfillment. The heart must feel it, the mind must surrender to it, the body must obey it, for all being responds to the inner reality first and the world of form secondarily. The man who sustains his faith in the invisible is never without his reward, for the unseen is infinitely patient, but perfectly precise. Your act of faith is not a timid hope, it is a deliberate assumption, a conscious occupation of the reality you wish to experience. Nothing can enter your life that has not first been assumed inwardly. And your persistent faith is the bridge that carries the invisible into the visible. Even when circumstances appear contrary, when the senses present lack, you must hold the inner state. The outer world is always adapting, always yielding to the inner conviction. To vacillate, to doubt, to measure the unseen against appearances, is to weaken the current of creation, but to persist, to dwell nightly, hourly, in the vision of fulfillment, is to command the elements, to draw the unseen like a tide into the form you desire. Each breath becomes sacred, each inhalation a drawing inward of the truth, each exhalation a declaration that the world is aligned with your assumption. Faith is the law in motion. Without it, imagination is idle, desire is incomplete, and the outer world remains unchanged. With it, the impossible becomes inevitable, the hidden appears, and the unseen bends to the rhythm of your inner certainty. Turn your attention now to the act of the mystical breath. It is more than oxygen entering the lungs. It is the very pulse of creation itself, the rhythm by which consciousness manifests form. Inhale with the awareness of the fulfilled wish, and let it saturate your being. Let the desire you have imagined fill your chest, your mind, your senses, until it becomes indistinguishable from reality. Exhale with confidence, with gratitude, with the assurance that the universe has received your inner act and is arranging itself to reflect it. Each breath is a sacred dialogue between you and the unseen. It carries your assumption into the currents of reality, where it will take form with perfect, inevitable precision. The breath is your instrument, your altar, your declaration that the inner and outer are united and that the state you occupy must appear. Understand that the breath carries feeling, and feeling is the language of manifestation. The man who inhales the certainty of wealth, love, or health and exhales it into the universe with complete conviction is not seeking. He is already in possession. The unseen moves in response to the vibration of his inner certainty, not in response to argument, effort, or visible circumstance. Breath and feeling together create a harmony that the outer world cannot resist. The rhythm becomes a current, a force that carries the invisible into the tangible, that transforms assumption into reality, and that aligns all events, all people, and all circumstances with the state you occupy. Each conscious inhalation and exhalation is a silent, potent prayer, a mystical act of creation that brings your inner vision into manifestation. The act of faith is strengthened by persistence. Night after night, hour after hour, let the vision be repeated with fidelity. Let the breath become a sacred rhythm. Let the feeling remain unwavering. Do not measure success by appearances, for appearances are fleeting shadows. Measure only by the inner state, by the unwavering conviction that what you desire exists now, fully, completely, and inevitably. The outer world has no choice but to reflect that which you hold with certainty within. You are not hoping for evidence, you are creating evidence. You are not waiting for the world to align, you are aligning yourself with the infinite, and the universe, obedient to law, follows. Now, bring the senses fully into the act. Taste the sweetness of fulfillment, feel the weight and texture of the desired reality, hear the voices that confirm your possession, see the light and the color that surrounds the living vision. Make the imagination so vivid, so alive, so irresistibly present that it dominates the senses and overrides all evidence of absence. The outer world is nothing but a mirror, reflecting whatever state you occupy. If you dwell in lack, you shall see lack. If you dwell in the fulfilled state, the mirror must obey. There is no mystery, no exception, no chance. The law is precise. The breath, guided by imagination and sustained by faith, is the vehicle by which the unseen becomes seen, the invisible becomes tangible, and desire becomes reality. Understand also the mystical nature of surrender in this process. While the breath, the imagination, and the feeling act as instruments of creation, you must release the need to control the form, the timing, the sequence. Faith does not manipulate, it assumes. It does not demand, it knows. As you inhale, claim the reality. As you exhale, release it into the currents of the universe, confident that the unseen is arranging all things perfectly. The law requires only your assumption and your feeling. It does not require your argument, your struggle, or your oversight. Let the rhythm of breath carry your desire into the unseen. Let the currents of imagination weave it into form. And let the universe, obedient as always, deliver the manifestation with perfect precision. Consider for a moment the power of 60 seconds of such deliberate breathing, combined with vivid imagination and unwavering faith. In 1 minute, the unseen can be set in motion, the currents aligned, and the inner state firmly established. Each conscious inhalation draws the reality inward, each exhalation releases it outward into manifestation. A single minute of such sacred practice can set the pattern for days, weeks, or even lifetimes. The unseen recognizes the rhythm, the law obeys the assumption, and the outer world, faithful as a mirror, reflects what has been assumed within. This is not speculation, it is law. This is not hope, it is certainty. This is the sacred rhythm by which the unseen is brought into the seen. Persist, then, in this inner act. Let each breath be an act of faith, each feeling a declaration of certainty, each moment of imagination a living reality. Do not be discouraged by appearances, for they are but shadows of the past, powerless against the reality you inhabit within. Breathe, imagine, feel, assume, and release. Let the rhythm of your consciousness become the law in motion, and watch as the unseen aligns, as circumstances shift, as opportunity appears, as the impossible becomes inevitable. The breath is the instrument, the imagination the spark, the feeling the current, and faith the law itself, all combined to bring the fullness of your desire into reality. Know this deeply: the outer world cannot resist the inner certainty. What you hold, what you inhabit, what you breathe into life must appear. The law does not falter, it does not hesitate, it does not question, it obeys. Faith, sustained and vivid, is the force that compels manifestation. The mystical breath is the conduit through which this force flows, the channel through which the invisible becomes visible, the vehicle by which your inner world imposes itself upon the outer. Each conscious inhalation and exhalation, combined with imagination and feeling, carries the full authority of the law. The universe responds, the world bends, the desire manifests. Persist, breathe, imagine, feel, assume. Let the rhythm of your consciousness resonate through every fiber of your being. Occupy the fulfilled state as though it is already complete. Make the vision vivid, make the feeling absolute, make the breath sacred. And the universe, obedient to the law, will manifest all that you have imagined with perfect, inevitable, and effortless precision. This is the power that lies within you, the truth of all creation, the sacred act of manifestation available in each breath, in each moment, in each living vision of your inner reality. Let your awareness settle upon the subtle harmony that exists between your inner and outer life. There is a rhythm, a quiet vibration that underlies all existence. And when you attune yourself to it, you align with the currents of creation itself. Conscious alignment is the art of recognizing that every breath, every thought, every feeling is a signal to the unseen, a deliberate act of shaping the outer world through the inner state. It is not enough to imagine, you must inhabit the reality you desire, not as a distant hope, but as a living, breathing present. Allow the mind to rest in the certainty that the unseen has already yielded. Feel the alignment in the core of your being, the steady pulse that resonates with the truth of your fulfillment. As your consciousness aligns with this inner reality, the outer world becomes a mirror, obedient and exact, reflecting with precision the state you now occupy. The breath is the bridge between the invisible and the visible, the instrument by which alignment is enacted. Inhale with awareness, drawing the reality you desire into the deepest chambers of your being. Let it fill your lungs, your chest, your mind, until every cell vibrates with the truth of its existence. As you exhale, release all resistance, all doubt, all traces of disbelief, allowing the current of assumption to flow outward and ripple through the unseen, shaping circumstance, guiding events, and organizing the world in perfect accordance with the inner state. Each conscious inhalation and exhalation carries authority, a declaration to the universe that the inner reality you inhabit is now primary, and the outer must conform. This is not a matter of time or effort. It is the simple, inexorable action of law responding to consciousness. Consider the profound subtlety of this act. Alignment is not merely a mental exercise, nor is it an intellectual acknowledgement. It is a total immersion, a surrender of the senses, a complete devotion to the inner reality you wish to inhabit. The mind becomes a stage, the imagination the actor, and the breath the conductor. Inhale fully into the state of fulfillment. Let every sensation acknowledge the reality as complete, and exhale with the certainty that the world must follow. The unseen recognizes no hesitation. It answers only to the clarity and the purity of the inner state. You are not hoping for manifestation, you are commanding it by your very being. The outer world is compelled to obey the rhythm established within, for law cannot resist the force of sustained, conscious assumption. As the senses awaken to this inner reality, the imagination deepens its authority. See the vision as tangible, hear the words as real, feel the textures, taste the fulfillment, sense the life of the moment in every part of your being. Let the scene be complete, perfect, alive. The more vivid, the more complete, the more sensory, the stronger the current that flows into manifestation. You are not creating an idea, you are enacting a reality. The unseen responds to sensation, to feeling, to life lived in the assumption of fulfillment. When the senses are fully engaged, the world outside cannot resist the inner reality. The door opens, the circumstances shift, and all that is necessary moves into place, orchestrated by the law that obeys the state you inhabit. Notice how subtlety plays its part. You need not control the form, the timing, the exact expression. The universe is infinitely intelligent, infinitely precise. Your task is the occupation of the state, the breathing in and out of the reality you desire, the full engagement of the senses in the living vision. The unseen arranges, the currents align, and the form manifests naturally, effortlessly, perfectly. To resist, to argue, to attempt to force the outer into alignment prematurely is to interfere with law. To relax into the rhythm, to breathe the vision into being with full feeling, is to allow law to work with the elegance of its own wisdom. Alignment is effortless when it is complete. It is power realized without struggle, authority enacted without force. As you inhabit this state, observe the unity between imagination and feeling. One without the other is incomplete. The imagination must see, must hear, must feel, and feeling must saturate the senses, must pulse through the body with the certainty of fulfillment. When these combine, consciousness becomes a living instrument, a channel through which the unseen flows into form. Each breath reinforces this unity, each inhalation drawing life into the vision, each exhalation dispersing certainty through the currents of reality. Persistence is essential. The state must be maintained until the outer reflects the inner without hesitation or delay. Appearances are powerless against the law when the inner state is alive, vivid, and unwavering. Now, as you focus, allow the senses to deepen their role. Feel the weight, the texture, the temperature of the reality you have imagined. Hear the sounds as if they were present in the room with you. See the light and the color, the movement and the form, as though the outer world has already conformed. Taste the satisfaction, the sweetness, the richness of the fulfilled desire. Smell the air as though it carries the essence of completion. Let the body, mind, and spirit be fully immersed in the living vision. This is the act by which consciousness communicates with the universe. This is how the unseen is brought to the scene. Each sense is a lever, each breath a key, each feeling a current of creation flowing into form. Persistence, attention, and vividness are the marks of mastery. Do not let fleeting thoughts, doubts, or distractions dilute the current. Let the rhythm of your breath maintain the connection. Let the fullness of your senses sustain the certainty, and let the living imagination guide every moment. The unseen is infinitely patient, but perfectly precise. It waits only for you to inhabit the state fully, to breathe it, to feel it, and to occupy it as though nothing else exists. Once you do, the currents respond, the events shift, the forms align, and the outer world becomes a faithful reflection of the inner reality. There is no power in appearances, all power rests in the state you assume. Consider the man who nightly breathes into the vision of his fulfilled desire. He sees it, he hears it, he feels it, he knows it. The world may whisper otherwise, but he does not waver. Day by day, the currents respond. Opportunity presents itself, circumstances shift, assistance appears, and the impossible becomes inevitable. This is not chance, it is law. Law that moves at the speed of consciousness, law that obeys the state of the inner reality, law that cannot be altered, delayed, or defied. Your alignment with the inner state, maintained through breath, imagination, and feeling, is the instrument through which creation unfolds. The outer is compelled to mirror the inner, and manifestation becomes natural, effortless, and complete. Notice how each breath acts as a reinforcement, a measure, a tuning fork of consciousness. Inhale fully into the state of your wish, and feel the reality saturate every part of your being. Exhale with certainty, confidence, and release, allowing the unseen to arrange itself in accordance with your inner command. Do this with deliberate attention, with feeling, with awareness, until the body, mind, and spirit all pulse in unison with the living vision. The outer world, like a mirror, cannot resist this rhythm. It bends, it shifts, it manifests with perfect fidelity to the state you occupy. The breath is not mere air, it is life, it is law, it is creation itself, flowing through you into all that you desire. Inhabit the state fully, saturate it with sensation, maintain the rhythm of conscious breath, and let the imagination be alive with the certainty of fulfillment. The law does not question, does not hesitate, does not delay, it obeys. You are the center, the axis, the point of focus through which the unseen flows into the visible. The alignment is complete when the senses, the imagination, the breath, and the feeling merge into one continuous current. This is how reality is shaped, how desires are fulfilled, how the unseen becomes tangible. This is your sacred power, your authority, your inheritance. Occupy it, breathe it, feel it, and watch as the universe, faithful and obedient, manifests the reality you have assumed within with perfect, inevitable, and effortless precision. Within the depths of your consciousness lies a treasury untouched by time, an infinite reservoir where all that you desire already exists. It is not found in outward circumstance, not in possessions or titles, not in the fleeting measures of the world. It is hidden within, waiting for recognition, waiting for the deliberate act of assumption that brings it into life. To discover this treasure, you must turn inward, for the outer world is but a reflection, a mirror of what you carry unseen. Imagine, if you will, a chest filled with riches beyond counting, yet sealed until the mind of the possessor opens it. The key is your attention, your imagination, your willingness to dwell fully in the reality of fulfillment. You do not labor to create what exists, you simply awaken to it, breathe it, and recognize it as your own. Every thought, every breath, every feeling is an act of unlocking, revealing the wealth that has been yours since the beginning. Consider how the imagination, fully engaged, becomes the instrument of discovery. You do not summon riches from without, you awaken to their presence within. Picture yourself in the quiet of your inner chamber, opening the chest with hands steady, heart calm, senses alert. Feel the weight of the coins, hear the soft clink of abundance, smell the richness of gold, taste the sweetness of satisfaction. Let the mind linger on every detail, let the senses confirm the reality, and let the feeling of possession saturate your being. This is not fantasy, it is the acknowledgement of truth. What you imagine with full awareness, what you breathe into being with feeling, becomes the blueprint through which the outer world arranges itself. The treasure is not hidden from you, it waits only for your consciousness to inhabit its reality. Persistence is the law's ally, the companion of manifestation. A single act of imagination, a single breath of recognition is the spark, but it is the continued occupation of the state that allows the unseen to perfect its reflection in the world. Day after day, night after night, let the vision be vivid, let the breath carry the certainty, let the senses affirm the reality. Do not be distracted by appearances, for they are but shadows of past assumptions, powerless against the law that responds only to your present state. Each conscious act, each deliberate inhalation and exhalation strengthens the current, fortifies the assumption, and directs the unseen with unerring precision. You are not waiting for the world to align, you are commanding alignment by dwelling in the state of fulfillment. Imagine now the power of a persistent inner act. Picture the man who nightly closes his eyes and dwells fully in the reality of his desire, feeling it, seeing it, hearing it, living it. The world may seem indifferent, events may appear contrary, but the law does not falter. It waits with perfect patience for the inner act to mature, to reach its fullness, to command manifestation. One day, the outer world, obedient as always, reflects exactly that which has been assumed. The unseen does not operate on chance or time, it operates on law. Your persistence, your unwavering occupation of the state, your repeated, deliberate acts of imagination and breath are the instruments through which the invisible is compelled to reveal itself in form. Let us deepen the senses in this process. Smell the air of fulfillment as though it is present now. Feel the weight, the temperature, the texture of what you have claimed. Taste the satisfaction, hear the voices of confirmation, see the light that surrounds the living reality you occupy. Make the inner act complete, immersive, undeniable. The universe cannot resist what is fully inhabited. It bends naturally, effortlessly, perfectly, to reflect that which the mind and senses acknowledge within. The breath becomes a rhythm, the imagination a vivid stage, the feeling the current that moves all things into harmony with the inner state. This is the sacred law, the eternal truth, the path through which your hidden treasure becomes tangible. The unseen treasures are infinitely intelligent. They do not appear randomly, they respond precisely to your inner occupation. Do not be persuaded by appearances, for they are the debris of previous assumptions, irrelevant to the present act. Do not measure by what is seen, measure by what is assumed. The inner act, when deliberate, vivid, and persistent, establishes a current so strong that the outer world cannot resist. Events, circumstances, opportunities, even the cooperation of others, align as naturally as the sun rises. This is not mystical speculation, it is law. The hidden treasure, already yours, unfolds perfectly when the inner state is held with faith, attention, and clarity. Now consider the rhythm of consciousness in the service of manifestation. Each breath, deliberate and infused with feeling, draws the unseen into alignment. Each exhalation releases certainty into the currents of reality. The imagination, alive and vivid, directs the flow with precision. The senses, fully engaged, anchor the reality within the body. Persistence sustains the current until law, faithful as ever, reflects the inner state perfectly in the outer world. This is the path of mastery, to inhabit the hidden treasure so completely, so vividly, so persistently, that the universe bends inevitably to the inner act. There is no struggle, no effort, no doubt. There is only the rhythm of conscious assumption, the deliberate occupation of reality, the sacred alignment of imagination, feeling, and breath. Even the smallest act, repeated with fullness and consistency, carries immense power. A single minute of deliberate, vivid assumption, a single full breath in the reality of your desire, can set in motion currents that shape days, weeks, lifetimes. The universe responds to consistency, to attention, to the living occupation of the inner state. Let the imagination be alive, let the senses confirm, let the feeling saturate the being, and let the breath carry the current. This is the hidden work that transforms desire into reality, assumption into manifestation, vision into experience. The treasure is already yours. The act of discovery is but the alignment of consciousness with what has always existed within. Do not underestimate the power of conscious dwelling. The outer world is merely the echo of your inner state, and persistence ensures that the echo grows into the full, resonant expression of the treasure within. The law is not swayed by delay, circumstance, or opinion. It answers only to the clarity, fullness, and faith of the inner act. Occupy your vision fully, breathe it deeply, feel it completely, and the outer world must, inevitably, reflect your inner treasure. This is the sacred rhythm of creation, the invisible law that shapes all experience, the eternal truth that what is assumed within is realized without. Notice how each act of imagination, each deliberate breath, each feeling reinforces the other. The senses anchor the vision, the imagination enlivens it, the breath sustains it, and persistence ensures it. Together, they form an unbreakable current, a living stream through which the unseen is compelled to reveal itself. The treasure is not sought, it is acknowledged. The outer world is not commanded, it is aligned. The law is not partial, it is absolute. You, by occupying the state, by living in the reality of fulfillment, by breathing and feeling it, bring the invisible into form with effortless certainty. Even when appearances contradict the inner act, do not waver. They are but shadows, fleeting illusions that vanish in the light of sustained assumption. Persist in the living reality, immerse yourself in its vividness, breathe its certainty, feel its completion, and law, faithful and precise, will orchestrate circumstances, events, and people to conform perfectly. The hidden treasure, infinitely patient, unfolds in accordance with your inner acts, not sooner, not later, but at the precise moment required for perfect manifestation. This is the unchanging truth. The outer world must reflect the inner state, and the inner state is revealed and made powerful through imagination, feeling, breath, and persistence. The act is simple yet profound. Breathe into the reality of your wish, inhabit it fully with your senses, sustain it with feeling, and persist without hesitation or doubt. Each repetition, each conscious act strengthens the current, aligns the universe, and draws the hidden treasure into the living moment. The law does not falter, it does not question, it does not delay, it obeys. Your persistence is the key. Your inner act is the command. Your imagination is the stage. Your breath is the rhythm. Your feeling is the current. Together, they are unstoppable, irresistible, precise, and eternal. The treasure is within. Occupy it, recognize it, assume it, and the world, faithful to the law, will manifest it in perfect form, effortlessly, inevitably, completely. There is a subtle power in the deliberate act of dwelling upon your vision, a quiet authority that the outer world cannot resist. The moment you take residence in the reality of your desire, you establish a current that runs through all things, a vibration that the universe obeys with perfect fidelity. Do not imagine that the outer world has power over you, for it is but a reflection of your inner state, a mirror that faithfully echoes the assumptions you hold. Each conscious breath, each vivid act of imagination, each feeling infused with certainty builds a momentum that no obstacle, no circumstance, no seeming limitation can impede. The law is absolute, and your occupation of the fulfilled state is the command that bends the unseen into form. It is not hope, it is certainty. It is not wishful thinking, it is authority. As you dwell in the reality of your desire, the currents of the universe move with effortless precision to reflect it, and every circumstance aligns itself in harmony with the state you inhabit. Consider how attention operates as the sovereign force within you. To dwell consciously upon your vision is to direct the full authority of your being toward the unseen. Attention is the means by which imagination enforces reality, by which thought shapes form, and by which breath and feeling fuse into a living instrument of creation. When your attention lingers in the state of fulfillment, the unseen takes note, the currents respond, and the world outside shifts to reflect the certainty within. There is no need to labor in the outer realm, to manipulate circumstances, or to strive for results. The only requirement is that you maintain the inner state, that you breathe the vision into life with complete presence, and that you allow the unseen to act with infinite intelligence. It will orchestrate every detail, every event, every meeting and opportunity in perfect alignment with the state you inhabit. Feel now the rhythm of sustained attention. Each breath you take becomes a signal, each exhalation a release of faith into the unseen, each inhalation a drawing of the reality into the very core of your being. Let the senses awaken fully to the inner scene. See the light, the color, the motion of fulfillment. Hear the voices, the confirmation, the music of reality as it resonates within. Feel the textures, the warmth, the solidity of what you have claimed. The senses, fully engaged, lend authority to the vision, anchoring it in experience so that it can no longer be denied. Law responsive only to what is alive and present in consciousness cannot resist the force of such attention. This is the sacred practice of alignment, the deliberate, conscious dwelling in the living reality of your desire, carried forward by breath, sensation, and feeling, until outer events must reflect what the inner world knows as true. As attention deepens, let the imagination assume the role of creator. You are not imagining to escape reality, you are imagining to enforce it. Each detail, Each nuance, each vivid sense of life within your vision strengthens the current, solidifies the assumption, and compels manifestation. The mind, guided by attention, becomes a conductor. The senses, enlivened by feeling, become the instruments. The breath, steady and deliberate, becomes the rhythm, and the unseen responds as naturally as waves rise to the moon. This is not metaphor, it is law. It is the eternal order by which all things are made visible. Your responsibility is to occupy the inner state fully, to breathe it, to feel it, to sustain it, and to allow the unseen to carry it into perfect form. There is also the power of anticipation, a quiet yet potent force. To assume the reality of your desire is to anticipate it as if it has already arrived. Expectation in consciousness is a signal to law, a command that your vision must take shape. Feel the satisfaction of arrival, the ease of having, the security of fulfillment. Allow this expectation to permeate every thought, every breath, every sensation. The outer world cannot resist such a conviction. It will yield, bend, and align with your inner certainty until the visible manifestation is a faithful reflection of the life you inhabit within. Anticipation is not passive. It is the conscious declaration that the unseen must obey. Through it, your imagination, your breath, your senses, and your attention unite to become an unstoppable current of creation. Consider now the subtle interplay of breath and imagination in this process. Each inhalation is a drawing of reality into the very core of your being, each exhalation a release into the currents of existence. The rhythm becomes sacred, deliberate, and alive, carrying the authority of your consciousness into the unseen. With each breath, you anchor the vision, strengthen the assumption, and enforce the state of fulfillment. When the senses confirm it, when feeling saturates the body, when attention lingers fully, the unseen moves as law dictates, arranging every circumstance to reflect the inner reality. The outer world, obedient to this rhythm, can no longer resist, and manifestation becomes inevitable. The act is simple, yet its power is immeasurable. Persistence is the mark of mastery. One moment of vivid assumption may ignite the current, but it is the continual dwelling in the reality of your desire, the repeated breathing, the persistent feeling that perfects the manifestation. Law does not act on impulse. It responds to state, to attention, to the sustained occupation of reality. You must be the consistent signal, the unwavering declaration, the steady presence of the fulfilled state. Circumstances may seem contrary, appearances may oppose, yet the law remains indifferent to the outer illusion. It acts solely on the reality you inhabit within. Persist, breathe, imagine, feel, and let law do its work. The universe will obey without delay or error. Now feel the unity of your being in this practice. Mind, breath, feeling, and senses converge into a single current of consciousness, a living stream of creation flowing from the unseen into form. The imagination does not wander, it directs. The senses do not falter, they confirm. The breath does not pause, it sustains. The feeling does not waver, it saturates. This convergence is irresistible, and the unseen, faithful to law, brings the outer into exact alignment with the inner. You are not seeking, not hoping, not waiting. You are commanding by your presence, enforcing by your attention, and manifesting by your living assumption. The outer world must yield, and it does, with perfect precision and effortless grace. Even the subtlest details obey this rhythm. The placement of opportunity, the alignment of circumstance, the appearance of persons and events, all respond to the state you inhabit. Nothing occurs by accident. Every manifestation is a precise response to your inner occupation. Therefore, attend with care, breathe with awareness, imagine with clarity, and feel with conviction. Let the inner act be complete, deliberate, and persistent. Let it saturate your consciousness until outer events cannot do otherwise than reflect the inner reality. The hidden orchestration is already at work. The treasure is already yours. Your task is the living act of alignment, the sacred occupation of your fulfilled state, and the deliberate enforcement of the unseen into manifestation. Even when time seems slow, when evidence appears absent, maintain the inner rhythm. Faith is not shaken by appearances, nor is law delayed by doubt. Breatheth, imagination, feeling, and attention united in persistent occupation of reality. Compel the universe to move with perfection. You are the axis, the center, the focus through which creation flows. Your inner act carries absolute authority. Outer circumstances are compelled, inevitable, faithful, and complete. The law is precise. The current is unstoppable. The treasure is revealed. Occupy it, breathe it, imagine it, feel it, and allow the world, obedient as always, to manifest the reality you have assumed within with perfect, effortless, and inevitable precision. There comes a moment in your inner practice when the act of assuming, the living of the desired state, becomes so natural, so effortless, that it transcends deliberate effort and settles into the quiet authority of being. You breathe and you imagine, yet these are no longer acts. They are the very rhythm of your existence. The unseen does not pause, it does not hesitate, it does not require instruction. It is attentive only to the state you occupy, to the living assumption that saturates your consciousness. Feel now the power of surrender, not of weakness, but of complete trust. To surrender is to occupy fully, to breathe deeply into the reality of your wish, to inhabit it with all your senses, and then to release all concern for the form it must take. The law of consciousness, perfect and intelligent, orchestrates the unseen with infinite wisdom. Your part is complete the moment your state is fully inhabited. All else is done for you, invisibly, effortlessly, and inevitably. Imagine a current flowing from the center of your being into all of creation, an unseen river that bends events, circumstances, and people to mirror your inner reality. Each breath, each feeling, each vivid act of imagination becomes a tributary of this river, and persistence, the dam that channels its flow unerringly toward manifestation. There is no need to control, to manipulate, to struggle. The unseen responds only to what is alive within you, to what is real in the depths of consciousness. To maintain the state of fulfillment is to command reality itself. The outer world is but an obedient echo of the inner life. The forms it presents, the circumstances it offers, the opportunities that appear are all responses to the rhythm you establish within. This is the ultimate act of mastery, to live in the unseen as fully as in the seen, to breathe your fulfillment as naturally as you breathe life itself, and to know that what you occupy must be reflected in perfect time. Now, let your senses confirm the reality of this inner surrender. Feel the weight, the texture, the completeness of what has already been assumed. Hear the sounds of confirmation, the harmony of circumstances falling into place, the voices of encouragement that echo within. Taste the satisfaction, the sweetness of completion, and sense the vitality, the very life force of fulfillment, coursing through every fiber of your being. The imagination, guided by feeling, becomes the conductor, the senses the orchestra, and the breath the rhythm that carries the music into the unseen. You are no longer hoping, you are commanding. You are not acting, you are being. You are not seeking, you are acknowledged. And as you inhabit this reality fully, effortlessly, completely, the world outside must conform. It cannot do otherwise. Law is precise. Law is intelligent. Law obeys the state you occupy with absolute fidelity. Observe now the miraculous subtlety of this process. The unseen responds in perfect measure to every nuance of your inner act. A glance, a word, a breath, a feeling, a thought, all become instruments in the orchestration of manifestation. Appearances delay and doubt are powerless. They are like shadows at the edge of light, incapable of disturbing the current that flows from conscious assumption. Persist with complete attention, with full feeling, with vivid imagination, and the world, faithful and precise, bends to your occupation. This is the law. This is the method. This is the practice that transforms desire into tangible reality. You do not labor outside. You do not manipulate circumstances. You breathe, imagine, feel, and occupy, and the unseen does the rest. Effortlessness is the mark of mastery, and surrender is its form. Notice the elegance of this rhythm. Breathing, imagining, feeling, and persistent attention converge into a single, continuous stream of consciousness, a river that carries the unseen into form. The law does not question, it does not delay, it does not falter. It acts only upon the state you occupy, only upon the living reality that you hold within. The outer world, obedient to this inner authority, aligns, arranges, and manifests with precision, grace, and inevitability. Each act of imagination becomes a brushstroke on the canvas of reality, each breath a current directing the flow of events, each feeling a magnet drawing circumstances into exact harmony with your inner state. There is no accident, no chance, no coincidence. There is only the precise, faithful response of law to the certainty you occupy within. Let this realization deepen you. You are both the artist and the instrument, the musician and the melody, the observer and the actor. The outer world is shaped, moved, and aligned only by the consciousness you occupy. There is no separation, no resistance, no power outside of the inner state. To breathe fully, to imagine vividly, to feel completely, and to persist unwaveringly is to become the axis of creation, the center through which all manifestation flows. The law is absolute, the currents are precise, and the treasure of your fulfilled desire, hidden in the depths of consciousness, must emerge into the visible world. This is the simplicity and the magnificence of conscious creation. You are the authority. You are the power. You are the law in action. Now consider the final unfolding of this practice, the culmination of breath, imagination, feeling, and assumption. It is not in striving or laboring, but in the quiet, deliberate act of inhabiting reality fully. Each inhalation draws life into the vision. Each exhalation releases it into the currents of the universe. Each feeling saturates the body, and each act of imagination confirms the state as absolute. Persist not with effort, but with presence, not with anxiety, but with certainty, not with seeking, but with knowing. The outer world, faithful as always, must respond, and it does, with perfect fidelity, effortless grace, and inevitable precision. You are not waiting, you are commanding. You are not hoping, you are realizing. You are not imagining, you are living. Even as you sleep, even as you rest, even as your attention wanders, the currents of law, set in motion by persistent assumption, continue to shape events, arrange circumstances, and draw all things into harmony with the state you occupy. The unseen is patient, infinitely intelligent, and perfectly obedient to consciousness. The breath, the feeling, the attention, and the imagination have done their work. Manifestation is not forced, it is inevitable. The treasure that has been hidden within your consciousness reveals itself naturally, effortlessly, and completely. Your part is to occupy, to breathe, to feel, to imagine, and to persist. The outer world, bound by law, must comply. Finally, recognize the unity of all that has come before. The breath that sustains, the imagination that enlivens, the feeling that saturates, the attention that commands, and the persistence that enforces, all converge into a single, seamless act of conscious creation. The unseen responds with perfect intelligence, arranging every circumstance, orchestrating every event, and bringing into form the reality already alive within. You are complete. You are fulfilled. You are acknowledged. You are the axis around which all manifestation turns. The law obeys you without question. The treasure is revealed. The reality is yours. And as you continue to breathe, imagine, feel, and persist, you watch the world conform with effortless precision to the state you now occupy, certain, absolute, and eternal.